on. So that was pretty cool this week.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love the idea of the multisensory description you
Mhm.
gave with the music and the colors and the yard work. I think incorporating the senses in our
Mhm.
reflections is really powerful.
Totally. And I think that's why summer is such a powerful season. And same with the holidays too, because it is so multisensory. But do you know what I mean? Even if it's blazing hot, you have these summer memories as a kid growing up and all of the fun things that you would do, or, trips that you would take, and just waking up and feeling like you had the whole day ahead of you without school or all of those things. And as an adult, I think we still kind of go back to those times, and it's fun to draw a comparison.
Oh, it absolutely is. And doing more of that, cultivating those summer moments year round. That could be
Hmm.
like a new challenge for us, right?
Oh my gosh,
How to live
absolutely.
your summer in the dead of February.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so funny that you said that, because I feel like that is my intention. That's um, my underlying message for a lot of the things that I do. I'm just a very, very big believer in living in the moment as often as possible, because I spent so much of my life not living in the moment, and it was a big, big struggle for me. And so it's something that I am personally, I try to be very intentional about as well. And I share that message in a way to keep myself accountable, but also to, just spread that really powerful message too, because I think we all need to be reminded of that.
Well, I totally agree with you. And on that note, I'd love to hear the story that you're going to share with us. Your biggest small thing. So something that has been a tiny moment, perhaps, that's left a big impact on your head, your heart, and perhaps even your life choices, your business, and how you live your life now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm literally, this is so me, because I am a planner to a certain extent, but I also have these moments of intuition of when I should uh, say or do certain things. And I'm just tapping into that right now. And I was not going to talk about this until this very moment, but it just feels right. So,
Just so everyone knows, Katelyn was a really great podcast guest and she went online and filled out my form. And so don't think she's flighty. And I appreciate the intuitive moment, girl. Go for it.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, because this feels right and I want to share it. So, I, my first job out of college, I went to school for fashion design, and I thought that I was going to be the next Rachel Zoe, or wind up in New York City, kind of like a Devil Wears Prada moment. And I was really, really into it. I was very, very just submerged into the entire fashion scene, and really appreciated not just um, the external appearance of it, but it was my goal to really learn from a foundational level what makes up that industry. And so I studied it for years. I landed my dream job in Philadelphia at the Urban Outfitter headquarters, which was just a surreal experience. And I thought this was it. I thought that I had made it, and I was 22 out of college, completely on my own, living my life, paying my bills, working. And we all have those moments, right, where you're just totally cut off, paying the bills, surviving, and it's fun and it's exciting and it's exhilarating. And at the same time, um, I was working a lot, and I, by choice, and also because it was a high demand job, and just that environment of that industry. And um, I spent about 3.5 years in that industry, really trying to figure out what my purpose was, what my path was, how it was shifting in my life. And at the same time, I was struggling with an eating disorder. I was struggling with bulimia and just disordered eating in general, and was really, really in a bad place, confused, um, just disconnected with myself, with what I was trying to do with my mind and body, and also this ambitious career path that I had laid out in front of me. And I had thought, here I am, I've made it. And I felt like I was sinking at the same time. And so I did a couple of different career paths at that company. And I remember being at Anthropology. I worked at Anthropology because it's the sister company to Urban, so it's the same building and whatnot. So I was in the buying department for accessories at Anthropology, and I had the best team, and we had so much fun together. I had the best boss, and I was also really struggling at that time too. So it was 3.5 years of just running really hard, having a lot of fun, building these amazing memories, really cutting my teeth from a career perspective, but also feeling out of alignment with what I was supposed to be doing as a professional and with my life, with my purpose in my life. And so one day I remember being at work, and I just had enough. I just knew it was that breaking moment in my life where something had to change. And it was one of those really, really, it was terrifying, but it was a moment for me that was really big because I was showing up and I was taking a huge risk living in the moment, which I wasn't doing often at that point. And I pulled my boss aside and I said, I can't do this anymore. And at that point, I had nothing lined up. I was 25 years old. Who knows what I had in savings at that point. I wasn't set. I knew that it was, I knew that it was a huge risk, but I also knew that, and I didn't know what I wanted to do either. I had no ambition of, okay, I'm going to leave this job to start this. Nothing at all. I just knew that I couldn't be there. And I knew, and I trusted myself. And it was a big moment for me because it was truly one of the first times in my life where I trusted myself enough to take a risk like that. And I pulled my boss aside. I said, I can't do that anymore. I can't do this anymore. And not knowing how she was going to react either.
What do you think precipitated that? What was that? What made you go from sort of being unhappily in the hustle, but still knowing that there's maybe some, and like the end game still was making sense and was logical, to that moment when you had that conversation with her and said, this is just not for me, knowing that felt good, and also knowing that you weren't set up, right? Who is it, 25? So can you reflect on that? Like, was it?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I think it was the first layer of finding my personal purpose and really not understanding what that meant, but just getting a little taste of it, realizing that, okay, I'm meant for something different than this. I'm not going to use the word bigger because it was a great job. It was a great job to start out with. It's a great company. There's so many amazing people doing amazing work at that company and companies like that. But for me, I knew as not only a professional, but living intentionally with my life, it was the first time that I had that honest reflection of, okay, something else greater for you is waiting, and this isn't it.
Right.
This is someone else's path, this is someone's greatness. It's not yours. Does that help to answer?
It does. Yeah. I'm just wondering if there was, like, if we're talking about small moments, was there a tiny moment that somehow gave you the courage to have that conversation that might have been percolating? Was it something that happened that day? Was it?
Um,
You know,
yes.
what was your tipping point, kind of, to be Malcolm Gladwell?
Yeah, truth be told, I mean, complete transparency, it was another meeting that I had prepped days, weeks, it had been on the calendars for months that probably got rescheduled or didn't pan out. And for me, I was thinking, I'm literally pouring my blood, sweat, and tears into this because I had so much heart and soul invested in that job. I really, really loved that work. And I had spent so much time understanding it on a truly foundational level. To have something just be so easily dismissed for not the first time, for, it had become just kind of a part of that job. To me, I felt that was my moment where I thought, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't, because I'm the type of person where I want to commit. I want to give back. I want to make a change. I want to make an impact. And if I'm trying and trying and trying, and it's just not really moving the needle, then this is really not the place that I'm meant to be doing. I'm supposed to be investing this amount of passion.
No, that's totally, and that was what I was sort of thinking about when I was kind of pushing you on that, is like, it's sort of a core value thing, right?
mm,
It's something where I think of the idea of why we do things and when we do them, for me at least, and for most of the people I talk with and work with, it comes back to when something in your heart, something foundational, is just, is sort of, there's that moment of like, this is not going to change and I'm not going to change. So it's time to make a change. How about that for saying change 3 times in one sentence?
absolutely. I honestly could not agree more. You said it so beautifully. That's exactly how I felt. And it had nothing to do with the office, the team, the work, anything like that. It was really just who I was as a person, how I was developing as a woman,